Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, yesterday was the prime example of why no one should ever gamble, ever. That is, Rustin and I, if we gambled, which I think we don't, but if we did, we would have lost a lot of money yesterday. A whole lot. Rustin would have lost his house because he said he could bet your house on it. And somebody actually commented on that on our preview show today. They're like, glad I didn't bet my house. That was pretty good. We have a huge show. My goodness, this is a huge show planned. Rustin and I are going to do our regular reaction show, and we'll be taking y'all's comments. We already got some rolling in. That's awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. And we got two special guests with us tonight, Jeff Kate and Justin Sims. From off the bench, they were at the Bradley Central game, and their video, you probably saw it if you were on Twitter at any point this weekend, and I'm going to show it to you tonight as well. They had a viral video of Boo Carter on 3 Sports, like their main account, picked it up and started tweeting it and gave them credit in it, which was pretty cool. So they were there covering that game, so we're going to hear from them later on. They're also going to talk to us a little bit about the Lipscomb Academy game at Baylor, where both Spillman and Beasley, 2 Vol commits, were playing. So it's a huge show. And my goodness, this whole week is going to be incredible. Tuesday night, mark your calendars, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. VFL and former Vol defensive back Malik Foreman is going to be joining us live on Tuesday night. That's going to be super exciting. And then Thursday night, VFL former Vol offensive lineman and now rising country music star Thomas Edwards is going to join us live on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Huge show. And then next Sunday, a week from tonight, for that reaction show, 9 o'clock Eastern, Reed Carringer from Football Time in Tennessee Magazine is going to join us to give his reaction to the Florida game on Saturday. So we got a huge week because it's Florida week, and we don't like Florida. So we got a huge week ready for that. Let's see. Some of the comments. I love Tyler. He started off really, really well. He said, this is going to be a doozy. I like this one. Aftermath Chris. Welcome, Aftermath Chris. Nice to have you. Nice to have you with us, Tyler, as well. He said, open lunch from Rustin Evans. So about our predictions. Rebecca agreed is going to be a fun show, and she said, "Amen." I'm assuming that's about don't gamble because people are going to. Yeah, Papa J.
Something's going on with your mic. It keeps cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
It's still doing it.
My mic was lackadaisical, just like Tennessee's offense was.
There it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
All right, we're rocking. I was being too animated. I bumped the mic a couple times, so I must have jarred it loose. Papa J, welcome. Good to have you, man. You always bet someone else's house. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we should do. Let's see. Carl is on it. He's already throwing out next week's prediction. He's like 53-10. So he's already throwing out his prediction for next Saturday. Let's see. Doug said, welcome, Doug. Welcome, Carl. Welcome, Papa J and Rebecca. Can't wait for the reaction or overreaction. Well, there's a whole lot of overreacting going on, in my opinion, right now. Aftermath Chris said, glad I didn't bet my house too. Yep, absolutely. So Papa J, I hope you can hear me now. He said, let's hope our reaction a week from now is much different. Absolutely. Carl, you're killing it, man. We're coming back to that. Well, about 15, but Carl he's leading. He's tied for the lead in our, he's only the top 2 guys are tied. He's one of the 2 of them tied for the lead in the college football pick'em challenge standing. So we'll show that later on if we have time. If not, I'll post it tomorrow night. Man, what a huge show. Let's see here. Trust Rustin with your nonprofit management, not your gambling. I love that. So Affinity Recruiting and Consulting, kind of a sponsor now. If you are really, for Rustin's expertise, in my opinion, he helps nonprofits all over the country. His expertise, in my opinion, is with capital campaigns. So if you have any need for that, Rustin's your guy. Michael, well played, sir. I love it. I love it. At least they saved on the fireworks. I love it. Welcome, Michael. It's good to have you, man. Michael's a good friend, so it's nice to see him on here too. Oh well, okay, Carl, you're right on the money, buddy. He said Heupel always has them ready after a disappointment. Absolutely, you're exactly right. So, Rustin, what were your primary takeaways or reactions from yesterday?
I'm trying not to get angry again. So I went back and watched it again, hoping to find some redeeming qualities. I coached my daughter's 10-year-old select softball team, and we actually won a championship yesterday. But that meant we were playing all day long. So I was watching most of the game in the dugout, which was keeping me from cussing loudly around a bunch of 10-year-old girls.
Side note, Carl, you are the man. Thank you so much. Carl, you were awesome, man. You're about to be an honorary Volbro just because of like you always give a super chat. That is so cool. Thank you so much. You are the man.
So I went back and watched it again and was looking for some redeeming quality. And
Papa J said congrats on the championship yesterday.
Yeah, 10-year-old softball. So it was hard to find anything, honestly. It was a pretty pathetic effort on all fronts. There wasn't, I felt like there were 4 guys that played consistently well. Other people played well in spurts. And then there were some that just outright sucked. I mean, there's no other word for it. They were terrible. Whoever we put in at left guard, didn't matter who it was. If it was Addison Nichols, if it was Dane Davis, if it was Andre Carrick, they were all terrible. No, none of them played well at all. As a result, it started spilling over onto Ollie Lane at center. Ollie Lane started tanking because he was worried about what was happening to his left, and he had easily his worst game in years. It was horrendous. The other tackles didn't really do much to help. It was like they all just kind of, it looked like, and I hope this is the case, it looked like they spent the entire week getting ready for Florida and just said, we're just going to go out there and do our base stuff and see what happens, and we're not going to worry about it. I thought the 4 guys who played consistently well were Wesley Walker, Aaron Beasley, who will probably win SEC Defensive Player of the Week, Jalen Wright, and this one will probably surprise people, Joe Milton. I think Joe actually played extremely well, and everybody else around him sucked out loud. If you go back and watch it, and I think I'm being gracious, so Joe's final stat line was 21 for 33 for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns. I feel like I'm being gracious when I say this. The wide receivers dropped 7 balls. 7. And I mean, not kind of catchable. If I include kind of catchable and catch radius balls, they dropped 10. They dropped 7 that were absolute catches that should have been no doubters. And think about that. If they catch those 7 balls, he's 28 for 33 with over 300 yards passing. Did he overthrow a couple? Sure, that happens. It's just math. You're going to have some overthrows. But the receivers did a horrible job route running. They didn't catch the ball with their hands. When they did try to catch the ball with their hands, they dropped it. They were horrendous. I mean, there's no other word for it. When you have to take your entire offense back to the line of scrimmage and just throw screen passes left and right because you can't trust these dudes to go run around and catch a ball, that's a problem. And when I watched it back, I was watching it going, maybe it was Joe. It wasn't Joe. It was Brew. It was Ramel. It was Squirrel. It was Jacob Warren. They were terrible. And there's no other way to say it. They were just bad. I thought the secondary was average. I thought the linebacker play was good. I thought the defensive line played well, but Austin Peay throws so many screen passes, it kind of eliminated the defensive line. But overall, it was just a pathetic performance, and I don't know any other way to say it. It was terrible.
So I think exactly what you said about they were thinking about Florida. That may be exactly what happened. It to me it looked like they knew this was the weakest team on their schedule and they could come out and go through the motions and end up with a win, and that's exactly what happened. They were not as engaged as one would hope they would be, and I think we saw that.
Austin
You know,
Peay almost doubled our time of possession.
oh yeah,
We
absolutely.
had the ball 20 minutes. They had the ball 39 minutes. Okay. That's not on the defense. That's on the offensive line. That means we're not
Well,
sustaining any drives at all. That means we're just continually giving the ball back to them.
and here's the thing. I mean, Tennessee was lucky they weren't down 7-0 on the second play of the game.
Well,
Austin Peay ran that double pass. Kamal hadn't bit so bad.
yeah.
And you'll if you go back and watch the first, they threw every pass at Kamal Hadden, almost every single one, until late in the third quarter when they threw that one towards Danico Slaughter and he
It's
almost intercepted it.
it's not hard. Like
Yeah.
anybody watching a film, and that's why I could not believe Kamal Hadden was in the starting lineup when the season started, because anybody can watch the film and go, the dude is never going to turn around and find the ball. So if you're in
Yeah.
trouble, just call a back shoulder throw and hit him on the back with it. He's going to throw his hands up and get a pass interference call, and you're going to get an easy first down.
Yeah.
I would guarantee you every school on our schedule is sitting there going, hey, if we need a quick first down, we're going to throw a fade at that guy. Just hit him in the back. It'll be an automatic 15.
But that was my big takeaway was they were very clearly just going through the motions, lack of focus. And I say that because, like, for example, there was a pass to Dante Thornton that hit him right in the hands and he just dropped it. And I'm not talking about the slant over the middle where the DB made a good play and knocked the ball loose. I'm not talking about that one. I'm just talking about there was I think a hitch route or something, and it hit him right in the hands. He just dropped it. I mean, can't
Brew had a ball on the sideline that should have been an easy first down. Hit him square in the hands, and he just dropped it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't.
So, I mean,
it was a perfect throw.
that's just lack of focus, and we will not see that against Florida. I would bet him. Well, I wouldn't bet any money on it after we saw yesterday. One of the funniest parts to me was Austin Peay's head coach, dude had pumped about like 20 monster drinks before he went
was
out
on
there. I think.
cocaine.
I mean, he was something on the sideline. And I loved how he used his timeouts like a basketball coach does to stop momentum. I mean, like to start the second half, Tennessee starts, they get like 2 or 3 quick first downs. He calls timeout like a minute and a half into the second half just to stop their momentum. But you know what? Kudos to him that he wasn't having his players fake injuries on the field. He at least uses his timeouts to do that. But that cracked me up. He was out of timeouts with like 5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yep.
That was hilarious to me.
I will say this, and watching it in real time, I was like, this might be the most horribly officiated game I've ever watched.
That was my next thing I was going to say.
When I watched it back, it confirmed it. Like it was so horrendously bad. I like on the very first series when they ripped off about a 30-yard run with the quarterback. Watch it. Aaron Beasley is in perfect position to make the tackle, and Austin Peay's left tackle literally tackles him. You can see both his arms go completely around him, and he tackles him to the ground.
Is that not allowed?
And the back judge, what's crazier is the back judge is standing right there looking at it and just watches it happen and then watches the dude run through the hole. And it's like, did you forget your job? Like that was about as textbook of a hold as they come.
So between all of those kinds of things, but the two, the primary one that they just absolutely totally missed was the fumble, the interception, or the reception that was Kamal Hadden forced a fumble. Aaron Beasley picked it up and ran it back like 30 or 40 yards, and they said it was an incomplete pass. And I'm like, dude he tucked the ball and took 2 steps, and then the ball came out, and they're saying that was an incomplete pass. And I was like, wow. I mean, wow, that was something.
Mm-hmm.
My other Well, I won't give away anything. We'll save that for a player of the game and play of the game. Let's see here. Some of the comments. Will, welcome, buddy. Good to have you with us. He said we're on high alert. Florida's going down. I think you'll definitely see a different level of intensity and focus this weekend. I don't think there's anything about any reason to doubt that. Papa J said Aaron beastly. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Carl made a good point. He said there were still, Milton had 0 interceptions. That's exactly right. Aftermath Chris makes a good point. He says, I'm beyond unimpressed with Thornton's performance so far. He was talked up all offseason to be the next big thing. I've yet to see anything. That's a fair take. I mean, that's a fair take. Our uncle, welcome, Uncle Dave. He said, this just in, Vols undefeated 2023 campaign in dire jeopardy. Yeah, they got to start playing better. That's for sure. Papa J makes a good point, and I actually thought about this last night. This was a situation where they might have been looking ahead to Florida, and they about bit them in the rear against Austin Peay. After Florida, if they're looking ahead to South Carolina, they might really get bit in the rear by UTSA. They cannot do this against them. It's a great point, Papa J. Great point.
Yep.
Carl said the receivers fumbled a reception. That's right. That play on the side with Ramel. You could tell he was beating himself up over it too. Papa J said, some of those throws are behind him. That's right. Some were overthrown. Let's see. Will said, everybody up holding for Milton. The guy needs to take the rocket out of his arm at times. That's a fact. Yeah, I mean, we didn't see that a whole lot yesterday. Yesterday it was, okay, I'll give this example. Let's go back to the Virginia game, the touchdown pass he threw to Jacob Warren. That was a bullet over the middle, but it was on target, and so it was caught. Last night, was it Ramel that caught one in the back of the end zone?
Yep.
So that was a bullet. It went approximately like 10 yards, bullet, and he caught it. The ones that we saw that looked like they were, he needed to take something off of them. Those were overthrows by Joe, and those were all in like the first 2 possessions of the game. After that, there weren't that many overthrows after that. Ricky, welcome, Ricky.
I saw a stat today, and I think this says it all. If we told you there's a quarterback on Tennessee's roster that over the last 2 years, as a backup and as a starter, is 95 for 145, that's a 65% completion rate for 14 touchdowns and no interceptions, plus 3 rushing touchdowns, how many schools in America would take that in a heartbeat?
Right.
I don't care that he throws some bullets. And I saw a great interview today Charlie Burris did with Jonathan Crompton. And he asked Crompton, what his take on Joe Milton is. And he said, so many people are trying to compare him to Hendon Hooker. And you have to remember, Hendon doesn't have anywhere near the arm Joe does. So Hendon knows he has a clock in his head of, I've only got so many seconds to throw this ball, and I can't wait and try to fit it in a window. So Hendon would catch it 1,000, 2,000, not there, take off. Joe knows I can fit it in that window. So Joe's going to catch it, and he's going to stand there 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and throw a dart. And people are just going to have to get used to the fact they're 2 totally different players, and they're not going to make the same decisions.
Yeah. Ricky, welcome, Ricky. Apparently, Ricky thinks I've predicted a loss to UTSA. I actually haven't, but what? That's he's giving us a hard time there. Carl's right. Austin Peay came to play. That's right. Their coaches had him fired up. Tyler said, I believe they had more first downs than the 10 that we talked about in our preview show. Yep, I thought about that too during the game.
They had 19, we had 17 because our offensive line was horrendous.
Mayhem Matthew, welcome Mayhem Matthew. So that Mayhem is the show, the Georgia show that we were on a couple months ago. That's exciting to have him with us. Welcome, Matt. Good to have you. Matt's going to be on our show the week of the Georgia game, so that'll be fun. Carl agreed that Florida's going to underthrow against Haddon just to pick up easy pass interference calls.
Yep. Everybody
Doug
is.
Doug asked a good question. He said, are the defensive backs taught to not turn around and fight? That's a good question, Doug. They are supposed to turn around, actually, because if they don't, it's pass interference. So they're supposed to turn around, and Kamal just refuses to.
Well, read the rest of his comment because he's actually got it half right.
He said it seems like their technique is to face guard and get their hands up when they see the receiver gets his hands up.
Yeah, so they're taught face guard and ride the hip all the way up the field, and as soon as the receiver shows his hands, they're supposed to put a hand in and get the head back so that they can see the ball but still feel the receiver. That's what every defensive backs coach in America teaches. And Kamal Haddon, for whatever reason, and some of it is receivers have figured this out, that he's just not ever going to look back. So some of them just run and don't put their hands up because they know the ball's going to hit him in the back and he's going to, at the last second, throw his hands up and face guard. So, some of it is they're just doing it intentionally.
Carl said, I've been wrong about Thornton. Yeah, I think a lot of us have been so far. Hopefully he turns the corner here. Aftermath, Chris, no more betting advice. Totally agree. Will said, a Wolverine once said, good luck with Joe Milton. Totally understand, Will. Hey, if you look at Vanderbilt last year, Orange Bowl against Clemson, Virginia this year, and now this game, I think we're still doing pretty well. We had a goal line stand to stop them scoring 20 to 30. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Note to commentator. This is our uncle. Well-executed game plan from Mamre, Georgia. Yeah, that's a problem. It should never be a problem from an Austin Peay. Totally agree. 100%. 100%.
Yep. It was a pathetic effort on a lot of fronts.
Let's see here. Aftermath, Chris said there were a lot of missed holding calls when they were literally hugging our defenders. Yeah, sure. But Mayhem said we can't make excuses against Austin Peay. You're right, and we haven't. Right before you joined us, Mayhem, we were talking about how it was just pathetic. Like they played pathetic.
Yeah, it was a worthless effort. And the other thing is, at no time did our offensive linemen, who were playing horrendously, watch what was happening on the field and go, apparently they're not going to call holding tonight. Instead of getting whipped every down, I might as well just tackle these dudes, see what happens. No, we just whiff on them, let them run the backfield. It was mind-blowing.
I love Ricky pulled out his inner Mark Nagy here. Fire everybody. It's supposed to be in all caps, though, Ricky. It's supposed to be in all caps.
I'm not saying fire anybody. I think we have a fantastic staff. I honestly hope what we saw was a team that spent the entire week getting ready for Florida and just didn't care about this one.
So Carl said even Peyton missed some throws. The O-line had no push and struggle blocking, so he thinks Milton will do just fine. Doug said the one time Haddon did turn around, he intercepted it. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Big Vol Daddy, welcome, buddy. It's good to see you. Mayhem Matthew is welcome anytime. He is a good guy. He let us come on his show and he just let us talk about the Vols. It was awesome. It was fantastic. You're welcome anytime. Hey, Big Vol Daddy, we appreciate that. You're supporting us. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. And Aftermath, Chris said maybe fire those refs. Yeah, absolutely. So here's what we're gonna do. That's right. He is. Matthew's awesome. Absolutely. So here's what we're gonna do. We're only one question into our 3, and it's already time to join. Have some folks join us here. I'm loving this. Ricky, you're killing me, man. He's like Mega Bros.
we have more comments than we have time.
So I did star one. Brennan made a really great comment. Brennan, it's so good to have you, man. I starred Brennan's because we're going to come back to that at the end because that's a really good question. So as we move forward and look ahead, that's a really great question. So we're going to come back to that at the end. But we got 2 special guests with us tonight. Jeff Kate and Justin Sims of Off the Bench Chattanooga. I will put that on the screen as soon as I find there it is. Off the Bench Chattanooga. I strongly recommend people going and checking them out. They, as I mentioned earlier, you probably saw their tweet this week. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them on the screen now. Jeff and Justin, welcome. We're glad to have you guys with us. You are familiar with their work and you may not even realize it. This tweet right here They made here. I'll take that away so we can see Justin. There we go. So this video, they were at the Bradley Central game this past Friday, and they got this video you may have seen on 3 Sports. Their official account picked it up and started sharing it. They went viral on the interwebs and on Twitter and X or whatever you want to call it. So here is their video of Boo Carter, and then we're going to get their opinions on what they saw this weekend. As it's rolling. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah, news flash, hot take here, guys. Boo Carter's pretty special.
So hang on, y'all sent me one more video. I want to show it too because it cracks me up what happens in the video. Let me see if I can get it ready here. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to show this one too. My favorite thing about this is listen to the band in the background.
Mm-hmm.
This cracks me up. This is a Boo Carter touchdown catch, by the way. Nothing like a home field advantage there.
Just keep playing.
The literally the ball is in the air and the band is just playing away. And then right before he catches it, they hit really strong notes to try to.
Well, what's funny is Justin was in this end zone as well, but there was a 4th down conversion that Bradley Central was trying to get. I think it was in the first half, and you just heard one of the guys on the drums just, you talk about a rim shot. It was tick, 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 tick the whole time, before the ball even got released, and it was an incomplete pass. But yeah, there are no high school rules as far as the band stopping there, which is pretty cool. And one thing about that video I thought you were going to mention there, Evan, was you kind of saw Boo kind of turning to the Walker Valley Mustang band and kind of start leading the band a little bit like, hey, keep playing louder. Mm-hmm. He definitely made some noise there on that. That was the 35-yard touchdown pass from Caleb Martin, who's another Division I prospect in our area too. So yeah, pretty solid night for BC6 right there for the Bears.
Absolutely. And so Big Vol Daddy, man, he's really sharing the word here. Katusa 93, welcome. We're glad you're here. He said, Big Vol Daddy sent me Vol Steak. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hey, we got to get Big Vol Daddy on the payroll, I guess. When we get paid, maybe sometime that, we appreciate that very, very much. So Justin and Jeff, tell us what you saw, because you got to see 2 football commits. And here's what we're going to do, just so everybody knows. We still have 2 more questions that we have to answer that we haven't even gotten to yet. So now you all are a part of it too. Just so you know, we're going to get to hear from you about what you saw from Boo Carter and Marcus Gorey Jr. But then we're going to have you give your reaction to yesterday's game. And then y'all are going to answer our other 2 questions, which I guess we should probably tell you what they are. So we're going to ask you for a player of the game from the Tennessee game yesterday, as well as a play of the game from yesterday. So you can be thinking about that as we talk. But tell us what you saw. That was at Walker Valley. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. These 2 teams, obviously county rivals in Bradley County, and 19th time these teams met. Bradley Central, let's just say, has a stranglehold, 18 wins to 1 now right here in this series. So this game was a close game last year at Bradley Central. It was a 1-point game that was decided on a last-second field goal. And talking with Coach Damon Floyd after the game, Justin made a good point to me when we were talking about that. He goes, when the punt was going over Boo's head on the bounce, was he yelling no, 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 and then go, go, go once he hit the edge? And he pretty much just said, he doesn't tell him anything as far as what he can do with the ball in his hands. He said he's just a special player. We're lucky to have him. And we definitely saw that Friday night. And Marcus Gorey Jr., Justin, you may have to jump in on this. I don't recall him doing too much, but it was mainly, obviously the defense pitching a shutout against Walker Valley. But, Caleb Martin, who's committed to Miami of Ohio right now, and Boo Carter definitely stole the show, in addition to a guy named Jarius Rogers, who he scored on the first play of both the third and the fourth quarter, scoring a special teams and offensive touchdown. So that kind of goes to show a lot of offense and primarily a strong defensive showing there for the Bears.
Yeah, as y'all can tell, I'm on location in Florida, sweating on the beaches. I'm not sitting in my garage right now sweating. I'm actually, so if y'all want a game day atmosphere,
yes,
currently, as you can tell by the pine trees, I'm on the beach here. But yeah, great game. A guy that we covered a few years back that you may know, he's currently playing in the NFL. His name's Von Bell. Kind of a miss from Tennessee, ended up going to Ohio State, but that's the guy that reminds me most.
We are aware of Vaughn. I don't think Derek Dooley is, but we are aware. Yes.
Yeah, Derek was a no-show the game we saw. We saw Lance Thompson from Bama there and several other coaches. We got to cover them, but size-wise, very similar. I think Boo's probably 10 or 15 pounds heavier at this stage. Boo's got to be pushing 195, 200 pounds. But as far as when you look at the guy on tape and guys that we've seen up close and personal at that age, Von Bell obviously, started every year since he was basically a sophomore in high school all the way up through college or a sophomore at Ohio State and taking it all the way to the pros. And that's, it's a big comparison, but I think that trajectory is very possible for Boo Carter. And like I said, if you want any game day atmosphere uptakes, let me know. I'm in Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
We talked about Marcus Gorey and Boo Carter, but Jalen Terry's also at Bradley Central, and he spent the weekend on Rocky Top. Can y'all tell us a little bit about his game, where he projects? How do you think Tennessee stands with him, where you see him at Tennessee?
Well, last night was his first game back since week one. He suffered an injury in week one, and based on what you talked to and who you talked to, that it was some were calling it a cheap shot on him, but he definitely used his motivation. I don't have, total yardage for Terry, but, just seeing him kind of getting his wheels, back underneath him more or less, it was good to see. He had a couple of strong pops up the middle to kind of keep drives going for Bradley Central to allow guys like Caleb Martin and Boo Carter to do what they did as well. So definitely, and that's what Coach Floyd was telling us after the game too. He said, he's a strong kid. He's only 15 years old. And that just goes to show that, that they're relying on him. And he said he's another Division I prospect and talent that we have on this offense. And really, it's probably one of the scariest offenses across the area. Obviously, like you said, with guys like Terry and Caleb Martin, and we know about guys like Tito Williams and Boo Carter, obviously Marcus Gorey Jr. It's pretty scary because they're now the top team in 6A in Tennessee. They've had a pretty strong couple of weeks, beating a team that you might have heard of in Maryville last week, and now a county rival in Walker Valley.
Yeah, Boo Allen as a 15-year-old that size, I see him as a kid that if he does end up in Knoxville being one of those running back in high school, linebacker in college type kids, he's big already as a 15-year-old. And as a 3-star running back, I think those skills might translate better for him being linebacker or maybe move to defensive by the ball if he gets up to Knoxville.
Boo had a little highlight of himself for himself last week against Maryville as well. So there was another game last night featuring 2 Tennessee commits, Mr. Beasley and Mr. Spillman from Lipscomb Academy. How did they do? How did they fare against Baylor last night? Can you give us any info on that?
Yeah, we were kind of, and I guess that was the joke too. And, a couple of media guys we follow here, one guy was, because Josh Heupel was actually at this game on Friday night. And, they were thinking, I was thinking, man, he must have gotten stuck like eating champions down there off of Lee Highway on the way back to Knoxville or something. But the way that offense was looking last night. But, yeah, I mean, both of these teams, obviously, we mentioned this, or I did when I was last on the show with you guys, you talk about talent. If you're going to go see a game with this much talent, not just Tennessee, but just across Power 5 schools as it is, well, this was definitely the game. And, back and forth game ultimately was decided on a Baylor field goal. Baylor gets a 34-31 win. And, a guy we know locally here, guys, who's committed to Alabama but still local, Amari Jefferson, had a couple of touchdowns. Another SEC commit, Whit Muschamp, looked pretty solid through the air. And, a guy that you were mentioning there as well, excuse me, guys, Caleb Beasley, he did have a touchdown, but Baylor definitely had Lipscomb's number in this game. I think Lipscomb had like almost a double-digit lead early, but Baylor was able to find a way to kind of get things going and find a way to win and hold on in the end. So definitely a classic game, and Josh Heupel definitely saw some talent right there at Haywood Stadium at the Baylor School on Friday night for sure.
Well, okay, so you mentioned the Tennessee game, so we're dragging you into our conversation now. What was y'all's reaction to yesterday? And then I'll get some more comments here too. What was you guys' reaction?
Well, you can see Justin's boogie board / probably what it looks like a shower curtain over there as well by the way it looks there, pal. So
Justin's already in the beaches of Jacksonville, so he's got close proximity to Gainesville. He's ready for this
Bird
weekend.
is flying incredibly slowly, but I'm at the beach in Florida, ready for the game. I'll just go ahead. I think I don't know. It's one of those trap games. You're looking ahead to Florida. I don't think there's any excuse for the way they played. The wide receivers were terrible. They only played 4 wide receivers, I believe. Dante only got like 8 snaps, Thornton, and they did not impress. Obviously, maybe if they would have continued, maybe more production offensively, that more rotation. But I'm, small wide receiver rotation for as much as they want to run the ball or run the tempo stuff. But to me, the play, I know it's kind of jumping ahead, but that big tight end with the catch and score, I mean, that's 43 of Joe Milton's yards off of a 5-yard pass, essentially. So I think Joe's numbers are even a little bit. Of course, the drops, you got to maybe I factor maybe 6 to 8 drops. And I'll kind of disagree with you, Rustin. I think the bazooka, when those balls are 6 or 8 inches behind you and it's coming at 100 miles an hour, I mean, nobody ever said Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, whatever, like, oh, that guy's got a bazooka. It's always accurate. I do think the mustard on his ball, maybe a little bit. It doesn't, no excuse. I mean, like the old adage is, if you touch it, you can catch it. And these guys are paid to catch it. I guess we can say that now about college players, which is good. But
Sure.
I disappointed in the wide receivers. I don't put necessarily nearly all of it on Joe, but if we're not winning 30 points in the first quarter, then bring on Nico. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Just
for sure. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny you say that, Justin. I kind of agree with what you said. I mean, yeah, kind of a classic trap game with, an opportunity to go down to Gainesville and do something that this program has not done in 20 years, and that's winning the swamp. And, if you're looking, I mean, I think if you're listening to any of these, post-game, whether it's on X or whatever, whether it's Fan Run or Tony Basilio, man, those are entertaining even after wins like this. And, I read something where somebody was comparing this to the Georgia State loss. I go, it's a win, guys. It's a double-digit win.
Yeah.
Yes, it was not what you wanted to see, but and like Justin said, classic trap game scenario. Yes, it wasn't enough to pay off the mortgage like Rustin said, but still, win's a win. And I think we'll definitely go with the fact that I'll give you a at JL Simsy classic line that is normally seen in our group text. Whenever we get down back in the past, he'd always say, got him right where we want him. I'm going to go with that. We got Florida right where we want him right there. So
I will say, I think the difference to me this season is we won't have to go out there and score 50 points a game. With the way the defense has improved and the fact they ran, I think, 12 defensive linemen, 5 or 6 linebackers, a bunch of defensive backs. I'm not totally in love with the way our cornerbacks play the ball, but I think you can win a lot of games with 35 or 40 points, where last season you pretty much had to go out there and get 50. I think this year Tennessee can be a 10 or 11 win team, but for 35, they don't have to get that 50-yard, that 50 burger, as they say. So I think the optimism on the defensive side for me kind of is more encouraging with the fact that Joe and the wide receivers kind of got to get their act together a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. As far as defensively, I would have to give Beasley my player of the game. Obviously, I think
he was. Whoa! That's coming up in a minute. Don't be jumping ahead of us here, Jeff. But you save that one, okay? Because that's one of our questions that we're going to ask you here in just a minute.
Technically, we should be there.
Yeah, it's okay.
Follow the script, Evan. Come on, I'm trying to keep you on pace here, pal. Come on.
My bad. Doug said that, speaking about Boo Carter, when we showed that clip, he said definitely need to give Boo a look on offense. He's fantastic with the ball in his hands. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it seems like this could potentially be another Evan Berry situation where everybody kept saying when are they going to give him a look on offense, because he's electric with the ball in his hands. and they never did. This may be another situation like that. I've starred a couple comments to come back to them as we go through the questions. Some more just reactions we've had. Dwight, welcome, Dwight. Good to have you. As he said, we need Joe out. Hasn't improved a lot since he's gotten here. I don't know if that's an accurate take.
Could not disagree more.
That Orange Bowl was pretty impressive. If anybody remembers that game from last year.
Yeah. Carl said playbook finally opens up against Florida. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, true statement.
And people were like, why didn't they take any deep shots yesterday? Well, they tried at one point, and Ollie Lane got whipped at center. Yep. The dude came right over him and was right in Joe's face immediately. They did try to run, but it was only one. I mean, in the first quarter, there were a lot of wide open throws over the middle that we missed, but in the first two possessions. But other than that, there weren't many deep shots. But we're going to see a whole bunch of new stuff we hadn't seen yet against Florida.
Yep,
totally agree. Katusa93 said, "Has Milton ever underthrew a pass?"
That's a good question, actually.
Let's see. Dwight said the playbook doesn't open up, and we still have Joe in it, but we'll see. It will. It will. Yes. It will. They said they ran bubble screens every play for a reason. They don't trust him.
They ran bubble screens every play because the receivers dropped 7 passes graciously, probably 9 if we're being honest. The receivers sucked out loud. And if all you can do is throw it out to the edge and go be an athlete, then that's what you do, because you don't want to show the rest of your playbook for a team that actually matters.
Carl agrees. Carl said still believe Heupel did that because they're not showing anything for SEC play. Well, I mean, here's the deal. Just like we're talking about how the players knew that they should be able to walk out there and win the game, I mean, the coaches know that too. And so they're intentionally not going to show tons and tons of stuff. Jennifer, welcome. Good to have you with us. She is commenting on Justin's setup there. I love it. He's ready to go.
I don't know who she is, but those are lies. That is.
I think you do. I think you do, pal.
I'm in Florida. The sun is setting. It's a beautiful weather. I'm sweating. I wouldn't be sweating if I was sitting in my garage right now.
Oh my goodness.
That's so true. That's so true. Dwight said Hype definitely wanted to run more plays than we did.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. Absolutely he did. Absolutely.
He never wants to have the other team double his time of possession. But our offensive line was horrendous.
He said, I've defended Joe all I can. Nico will be the starter by the South Carolina game. That's only 3 weeks from now. So I don't know.
You don't want that. It blows my mind when people talk about that, because you do not want that. He is not ready for that. He's not. He's a college freshman. Think about every college freshman that has ever started at Tennessee. They will lose 2 or 3 games on just inexperience and bad decision making. You don't want that.
Big Vol Daddy said that Joe did underthrow some on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And Justin, in response to when you were talking about Joe putting a little too much mustard on the ball, Big Vol Daddy said, did he have to say mustard?
That's another
well, at least we didn't make a golf ball
sponsorship
reference
there. Right, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, French's, our DMs are open. If you want to be we will put a big old French's mustard bottle on the side of the screen every show if you want us to. That we are all for that. We are not above being bought out. Let me tell you. Let's see here. Carl Junkin said, ugly win, better than a pretty loss. Totally agree. 100%. Let's see.
Let's not rehash Georgia State.
Michael, I'm glad you said this actually, because there were a lot of people making this comment. He said Michael was there. He said the fact they didn't run through the tee was a weird start. Energy was off from the beginning, and I think that's a pretty good point, because I mean, when you stop and think about it, McAllen Castles, for example, let's take McAllen Castles, scores his first touchdown, which, by the way, if you have not seen the interview with McAllen after the game on the sideline that Tennessee football tweeted out, you need to go watch that tonight. There's no way not to just root for that guy. I mean, he just loves being there. Like people say they want players at Tennessee who love being there. McAllen Castles loves being there. they were talking about his first game in Neyland, and he was talking about how awesome it was. The fans being, he said, I've never played in front of a crowd this big before. It was so refreshing to hear him talk about his experience. And immediately I thought exactly what Michael was sitting here talking about. McAllen didn't even get the full experience. He didn't get to run through the tee. I mean, he didn't get to see the band form on the field and that tee open up. And I mean, it was different. It was different from the start. And I think that certainly does not excuse what happened, but I do think it did make it a weird vibe from the get go. And it took, I think what we saw yesterday was it showed the lack of maturity that we really have on the team, that they didn't take it the way they needed to, that they let that distraction get the best of them. I think that was impactful. And Carl makes a good point here. Carl said, Fred White said, you get pumped up, you can't run through the tee and then have to sit for 30 minutes and get 3 minutes to warm back up. I mean, yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. So I think it certainly had an impact on it. Okay. So now our second question of the night.
About time, Evan.
Yeah, my bad. So who was our player of the game? Jeff, you started earlier, so you tell us.
I already said it. I already said it. Just go ahead and go with Beasley.
Well, I totally agree. He was my player of the game too. Justin, what about you?
I'll say Wright running the ball, 9.3 yards a carry, 118 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but the kid just keeps on impressing. He's got a vision that you don't see of a lot of kids. There's a big play. He was going right, or the play call was right. He saw the hole to the left, broke it 30 or 40 yards. He didn't get in the end zone. He really hadn't gotten in the end zone much this season, I don't think at all yet. But that kid's a home run threat that we need, and he 9.3 yards a carry from the tailback position is hard to argue with.
That's pretty good, isn't it? That's pretty good. Rustin, who is your player of the game?
I'll go for Aaron Beasley also. If the replay official hadn't screwed up the one time all day he had to do his job, he would have had a fumble recovery too.
Yep, that's exactly right. I mean, he had just a tremendous game. He was seemingly in the backfield on every play. I mean, it felt like that at times. He was always there. And my goodness gracious, they need him to step up the way he has so much right now with Keenan Peely injured. We don't even know if and when Keenan Peely will be back. And so this is a huge deal that Aaron Beasley's playing at the level he's playing at right now. Carl.
One honorable mention. Did you notice who finished third in tackles?
Mm-mm.
Jeremiah Thielander.
How about that?
Oh, nice. Okay.
So Thielander got some praise from Aaron Beasley after the game in his post-game presser. Beasley said, man, he goes, Thielander, man, he's got that dog in him. I mean, he was praising him in the post-game presser. Carl said his players of the game were Beasley and Wright. I think that's excellent choices, obviously, for what we're saying here. Big Vol Daddy said his player of the game goes to Jalen Wright. Absolutely. Carl said game ball for the refs. It was comically bad. Now, I will say this. At least it wasn't as bad as I think it was. Was it Mississippi State like a year or two ago that there was a punt and the dude touched the ball and it should have been a live ball or something like that. And they said that he downed it and they called it something happened. It was the most bizarre play call I'd ever seen in my whole life. I think it was 2 years ago. And I was like, I literally have never seen that. And I don't think I'll ever see it again. So at least there was nothing that bad. I'll have to find that now. Yeah. No. Okay. It was. And then that officiating crew had a Tennessee game like 2 weeks later, and they made another terrible call against Tennessee. It's all coming back to me now. It's like Celine Dion. It's all coming back to me. I'm gonna find that now. All right. So Justin, we'll let you start this one. What was your play of the game yesterday?
I kind of spoke about it earlier. I think that 43-yard catch from the tight end Carter. I like that he wears number 34. That was the number I wore when I played ball, and to see him house that one from from a 5-yard out. And, I mean, he's a quick moving tight end, and he had a heck of a ball game, but that play kind of put it on ice really for us, and just a tremendous play.
And kudos to Brew McCoy.
Yep.
Who essentially escorted him down the sideline for 40 yards blocking that dude. That was awesome. Jeff, what about you? What was your play of the game yesterday?
Man, what a perfect segue. Thank you very much there, Evan. Mine was kind of off the radar. Was that Brew McCoy just, pretty much giving him the escort right down the sideline there. So it's good to see, a guy who, catches the ball like Brew, but also be able to get downfield and, do whatever it takes to help your teammate get into the end zone or get into the checkerboards for sure. So that was I have to go with the block into the end zone right there.
I love it. Rustin, what about you?
I was going to say we didn't have one, but
let me say this for anybody who's watching right now. First of all, awesome. Thank you that you're watching. You are awesome for joining us. Please let us know your play of the game in the comments too. We'll be happy to show it on the screen. Rustin, what's your play of the game?
I'll go with McAllen Castles too. It was about the only highlight of the day. I would also go with the one delayed stunt that Aaron Beasley ran, came untouched and got the sack in the third quarter. It was a tough sack because the quarterback stepped to his right, so Aaron Beasley had to redirect mid stunt, and that's just really hard to do. And he still got him on the ground. I think the other thing about McAllen Castles that was interesting was, we didn't really hear a lot from him against Virginia. So it was good to see him do something big because there's just one more thing that Florida has to get ready for now.
It was really cool. After the game, Joe Milton was asked about that. And the question to Joe was, so in the 2 games you've had so far, you've had a tight end catch a touchdown pass in Jacob Warren against Virginia, and McAllen Castles catches a touchdown pass in your second game. And they said, how cool is it to get both those guys involved like that? And he said, well, listen, we see him out there blocking all the time. We tell him, just be patient. We'll get you the ball. We promise. And that cracked me up that he said that in his presser, little real life there. He's like, we know you're blocking. We'll get you the ball. It's coming to you. We promise. Which, side note, I think it was Kyler Curbison. Yeah, I think it was him. He tweeted out they have they're partnered with Rocky Top Insider, and they have Pancakes and Bacon is their podcast, and he tweeted out his block of the day was actually Jacob Warren, and I didn't see it in real time. I didn't see it, but Jacob Warren just annihilated this kid. It was on the far sideline. It was on Austin Peay's sideline, and it was a little bubble screen, and I can't remember what quarter it was in. I know Tennessee was going towards the south end zone, so that narrows it down to 2 quarters. But Jacob Warren just pancaked that dude, just drove him into the ground so hard that it knocked the guy's helmet off. And the guy got up and kind of laid there on the sideline for a second, like, what just happened? It was, I did not see it in real time, but man, you want to go see a good block, go look at that play. My favorite play of the day was the screen. I think it was in the late third quarter, maybe the early fourth quarter. The screen to Squirrel White, and he juked a dude straight out of his shoes. It was amazing. That was easily my favorite play of the game. Okay, Squirrel made that guy look like he was playing JV high school football. He juked him so bad. It was beautiful. That was easily my play of the game. Absolutely loved it. Let's see. Oh, so Carl's saying we got a little bit of perspective here. We went from Butch to Derek to Jeremy to this now. Yeah. So how nice is it that we're sitting here talking about a win that was not played very well by us at all, and we scored 30 points. Like in 2019, we might have scored maybe 6 points in that game. Let's see. Katusa 93 said, you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game. Butch Jones, a philosopher. That is exactly
Oh
correct.
my gosh.
That is exactly what Butch said
After the
Wow.
Oklahoma loss.
after the Oklahoma 73-0 loss to Oklahoma.
And of course,
this
he had to throw the sniper shot from the bushes at certain fan bases. I mean, just go ahead and call us out, pal.
Yeah.
We know who you're talking about. So it's pretty funny to
Yeah.
see Vol Twitter go after him saying, "Why don't you call us out?" So
Yeah, that cracked me up. So in his post-game press conference, he says that Katusa 93 just mentioned, and then in it was like his weekly presser leading up to the next game. So like it was a whole new thing now. It was like 2 or 3 days later, and he throws a shot at Tennessee and Vol Nation. It cracked me up. I was like, good night, rent free.
He has yet to talk about the fact that his predecessor was 50-38 and left him a full cupboard, and since getting there, he is now 5-21. But it's Tennessee fans' fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let facts get in the way of his good story there, Rustin. How dare you? You should know better.
Right. Right.
Tyler said, hard to say, but to me, the play of the game is when Austin Peay pinned Haddon down and the team rallied around him. Seemed like that is when the momentum changed. And I like this. Tyler.
I think that was Warren Burrell, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Warren Burrell. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But I love this one, Tyler. I think this is a great choice because you're right. It ticked them off. That's what happened. It lit a fire under some folks. You're exactly right. And side note, it's one thing when you hear, people saying, "Oh, this is just Tennessee fans, taking up for their own player." It's a whole other thing when you hear local media up there saying, "So here's what really happened on that play," and dude took Warren Burrell to the ground and held him on the ground, driving him into the ground, and then his teammate stomped on Warren Burrell while he was on the ground. That's when everybody came over when they saw him stomp on him like that. That was the issue there. Carl makes a great point. We're 2-0. You're exactly right, Carl. Hey, there's a lot of teams that wish they could say they were 2-0 right now.
Butch Jones.
Yeah, well, definitely Butch. Yeah. But I was thinking like Alabama,
Exactly.
Clemson. There are some high-profile names. LSU. There are some
Speaking of
high-profile
Clemson,
names.
Did you hear the student section chanting, "We want DJ" during the first half Saturday?
Okay, well, did y'all see the throw that Cade Klubnik made? It looked like Eric Ainge against LSU when he hit his head on the goalpost. Exactly. I mean, like he was getting chased, and so he just turned like this and just chucked it, trying to throw it out of bounds across the field instead of towards the side he was running at. Why would you not just throw it out of bounds on that side of the field?
There's a sideline everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So he just turned and chucked it like a reverse pass midair kind of thing.
It was in the playbook.
Of course, yeah. And of course it didn't make it to the sideline. Well, they picked it off and ran it back for a pick six. I was like, what are you doing, man? Zach, welcome, buddy. Zach says, what's up, Marbles? 2-0, baby. VFL. You're exactly right. Zach, I'm so glad you're here. Zach, seriously, man, they really need to bring you and let you talk to the team for the game because you will have them running through a brick wall, man. I'm 100% serious about that. Zach said, fans around me are saying we only won by 17, but we won. So I agree. It was not great. It was only 17, and I know you're saying, but we still won. And you're right. We did still win. Jeff mentioned earlier there was a tweet that Fox Sports Knoxville has actually since deleted, where they said, which was worse, this win or the Georgia State loss? I mean, come on. That's not even comparable. And so this was obviously much better than that. So I agree, Zach. We're 2-0, baby. 2-0.
It's like I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, it's like people forget, like we mentioned, the perspective comment right there. People forget the Dooley, Jones, Pruitt, decade of dysfunction. You talk about Mark Nagy, the decade of dysfunction there. And it's like, it's good that we're complaining about a 17-point loss. Yes, it's against Austin Peay, But I mean, like you said, 2-0 is 2-0. Yeah, exactly right there. That's it. You win in life. Don't kick from the 1 yard line. That's definitely something. Like I said in the last show, we live by every single day. So 2-0 is 2-0. We'll definitely take it. Justin, me and you have sat through some of those. Just question why we traveled to saw that bunch, and it's good to see that we're actually getting we actually have 2-0 on the record sheet there.
I blame the uniforms. I didn't like them. I don't care if it's an unpopular opinion. I just want orange and white. I don't need black. I don't need gray. Give me the stormtroopers. Maybe the orange breeches. I'll do orange breeches, but just give me the orange and white, especially the home opener. I do not like the alternate uniforms. Give me a break. I don't care.
So I share your
used to it because we got a 5-year contract with Nike, and in the contract it says they get to do a new one every year.
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of this particular version of the Smoky Grays. I know I think we're in the minority on that. I will take orange on orange any day of the week. I love the all orange look. Orange pants and orange shirts. I love it. The black uniforms last year looked good too.
Justin and I were talking about this actually on Friday night. We go back. They were honoring the Artful Dodger, right? Well, we were like, let's go back to the 2004 UNLV home opener with the actual uniform he wore. The orange shoulder pads, the all white uniforms. That thing was sick looking, man. Just really crisp, really good. One thing actually Adidas did very well with the uniform is making that uniform look pretty good. So
yeah, and that's the thing. If we're going to honor him, let's honor him in the uniform that he wore, right?
Or put tearaway jerseys on. Either one will work too. So,
yeah. Dester, welcome, Dester.
That was the part that was weird to me. I was like, if you're going to do a tribute, why not use? I don't know why I just muted. You could have picked any other game during the year to do the Smoky Grays. Why not use the exact uniform for that tribute? It was just so weird.
Yeah. Dester said, I agree with Justin. Orange and white's best. Hey, it's clean. It's and I like the fact that Danny White said, so there's really two meanings here, but I like the fact that Danny White said, we're only going to use our traditional uniforms in rivalry games, that kind of thing. So basically by doing that, he told Kentucky and everybody else, we don't consider you a rival. And I love that. It cracked me up. Absolutely. Carl said he wasn't a huge fan of him. Zach said dark mode is the best. Tyler said that was my first game ever UNLV in 04. Those uniforms were fantastic. Let's see. Going back up a couple of the comments. Rebecca said our ugly one was made so much sweeter by Alabama's loss. Well done, Rebecca. Absolutely. Well played. Absolutely. That's exactly right. Zach said that defense is getting better. Road to the net. I love it, Zach. Zach will get you pumped up, man.
So a couple of positives. We are now first in the country in sacks and tackle for loss, and Aaron Beasley is now leading the country in tackles for loss.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he's having an All-American. He should be an All-American. He's definitely All-SEC, but that kid is an absolute stud and fun to watch. That, like I said, defense is much improved, so that offense doesn't have to be 50 points anymore. And I'm here for. I can live with that.
Malcolm, welcome, Malcolm. He said, I love those uniforms. I didn't like the picks, but they look great and real. That was a common opinion, actually. A lot of people felt that way. So Doug asked a good question. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to end our show with Doug's question and Brennan's question, because Brennan asked a question a while back and what we were just talking about. And actually, Zach is going to give us the perfect segue into Brennan's question, because Zach was talking about national championships. But first, we're going to answer this question. Doug always asks really great questions during our live streams. He said, what stat is going to be the most important in the Florida game? Whoever has more rushing yards, which historically has been the determining factor in this game, or the turnover margin, or some other stat. All right, so I'm going to do a really smooth move here and try to stall some time to think about an answer. So what do you guys think?
I watched a little bit of the Florida McNeese game. Obviously, Florida ran the ball. They were super efficient throwing. I think that starting quarterback was 14 of 17. So to me, I think it's just running game and efficiency. fewest turnovers and who can control that running game. And, maybe big plays. But to me, Tennessee needs to run the ball better than Florida Saturday.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. And something that Rustin was mentioned. We talked about Beasley. Is just can the Tennessee defensive front get pressure and get in the backfield to add to those tackles for loss numbers and sacks? Because everybody remembers if you're old enough, the Alex Brown game in '99 in the Swamp where he essentially set up a tent or actually built a condo in that backfield all night. So that's like you said, the rushing total definitely has been historically relevant in this series. But I think, especially if Tennessee can get pressure and force, Florida to make, the quarterback to make some mistakes and, back them up into second and third and longs, I think that definitely would be a huge factor in the game for sure.
What about you, Rustin?
I'll go tackles for loss. I think the game's going to be won between the offensive and defensive lines. Our offensive line has to get better, period. They just got to get better. So if Cooper's back and Ollie's able to move to left guard, that'll shore up some issues. And I think that'll be a difference maker. But I think whichever team has more tackles for loss is probably the team that's going to win.
Neil, welcome. Neil, we're glad you're with us. He said most important stats, the final score, baby. I totally agree. So here is my take. I'm going to go with something totally different than anybody said so far. Let's think back to last year in Neyland Stadium. Billy Napier was totally averse to punting the ball. I've never seen somebody even more than Lane Kiffin. He was going for it on fourth down all day long because he knew he couldn't keep up with Tennessee unless he did that. All right. So here's my stat that's going to determine the game. This year, the games have been shortened, less possessions due to the new clock rules. Napier knows that. He knows that if he can run it effectively, or forget that, if he can throw it effectively and still, keep the clock running, he can shorten that game and minimize the amount of possessions that Tennessee has. So my stat of the game that's going to determine what happens is how many first downs does Florida get? That's my stat of the game. Because if they continually get first downs and keep being able to hold the ball as long as they want, and if they double time of possession on us like Austin Peay did, that's, with Tennessee's offense, time of possession isn't as big of a deal as it used to be because, my goodness, Tennessee can score in a minute and a half. And so, they're putting up 7 points in a minute and a half, whereas another team, it might take them 4.5 minutes. But the thing is, if Tennessee can't get the ball back from Florida, then Napier's just going to hold the ball the whole game long and let the clock run down to 1 or 2 seconds on the play clock, snap it, and it'll be a low-scoring affair. And I'm sure that's what Napier wants. And so in order for Tennessee to play well, to win, to have an effective game, they got to stop them. We need 3 and outs, at most 1 first down per possession, something like that, to get them off the field. And my goodness gracious, get to Graham Mertz. My goodness, if they can do that, then we'll be okay. So let's see some other folks. Their answers. Malcolm said red zone conversion. Yeah, he said third down conversion. I got you. So third down conversion, red zone conversion, also a big deal because it wasn't great against Austin Peay. So totally agree there. Carl said Heupel's going to win with this defense this year. Absolutely. I totally agree. Tyler with a good take here. He said Tennessee's ability to contain Ricky Pearsall. He got open and had some nice plays against Utah. Should worry you a little bit with the difficulties in pass coverage. I guarantee you, I know who Kamal Haddon will not be defending on Saturday. Danico Slaughter, I bet you'll be lined up across from him for sure. Carl, thank you so much, man. Carl said, great insight tonight, fellas. Zach said, question, will Keenan Peely be ready for Florida? That's a great question, Zach. Unfortunately, he will not. They actually have not given a time frame on when he'll be able to return. They said that as of right now, all they know is he's out for multiple weeks. And the worst part about the whole question that Heupel answered was he said, it is not season ending as of yet. Basically is the way he said it. He's not out for the season yet. That's not good. That's not what you want to hear. So I'm hoping we get to see him again, honestly. Let's see. Neil said, I'm hoping we get an even playing field in officiating. Traditionally, we get hosed by officials in Gainesville. So somebody, I don't remember who it was, but yesterday during the game, they're like, man, I didn't think we get cooked by the officials in our home field. That cracked me up. That's what I'm talking about. Zach, look at this, man. That's what I'm telling you. He will get you ready. Zach Bazooka Joe throws 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Hey, if he's throwing 400 yards, I bet he'll have 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But that means like he throws it down to like the 1 yard line. They fall down and then Sampson runs it in or something like that.
So so you just said that name, and I meant to bring that up earlier. Where was he Saturday?
Yeah. Didn't get on the field very much.
He didn't play hardly at all. He had 3 carries and 1 catch for a total of 12 yards.
Yep. Good question. All right, so our last question for this evening, Brennan, I told you, man, I was gonna answer this. So this was a really good question. He said, all right, at the beginning of this episode, we were talking about Tennessee was looking ahead. They were looking ahead. Brennan said, do you guys feel like championship caliber teams look ahead? I think that's a great question. And I think the answer is no, they do not. Can you imagine if Nick Saban had been coaching and his Alabama team played the way they did against Austin Peay yesterday? Can you imagine what that press conference would have been like? There would have been media people leaving in tears because he verbally berated them so bad or something during the press conference. We'd have heard like, so stop asking, something like that, and the thing.
I mean,
what do you guys think?
We've heard, the Nick Saban going off after, I remember it was that Georgia Southern game years ago talking about something running through a tin horn. So, I mean, that definitely goes to show right there. But, I mean, I kind of agree with that. I mean, it's human nature to be like, okay, well, we can just walk on the field. And, we're better than these guys, whatever.
That's right.
But I think that's the thing is like, can you going back to the high school thing here, like I mentioned, Bradley Central was, taking on Maryville last week. They weren't looking ahead to their county rival. They were looking at the task at hand. Now, granted, Maryville's a whole different animal than Walker Valley, with all due respect to the Mustangs there. But, they were taking it one game at a time. And we say it all the time when we do our off the bench spaces, Justin, we always say it, and we hear the coaches say all the time, the goal is to go 1-0 every week without looking ahead, a week or two down the road to your next game. So you can get over that, I think, if you have the talent and you're, right there. But I think historically, no, definitely not looking ahead because you go back to the 99, Tennessee team on the doorstep of another BCS national championship appearance, and they drop it to Arkansas, right? So, I mean, they were looking ahead right there. So, I would say probably not for sure.
I agree with Brennan. He said, that's my thoughts exactly. Championship caliber teams play their best every game, play their best game every game.
Justin, what's your take on that?
I think it's. I don't know. I kind of disagree. I think it's easy to look ahead. Now you might still out talent somebody and beat them by 3-4 touchdowns. I mean, I don't think the back-to-back national champions of Georgia have dominated. I think they've had games where you're like, oh, look at this
Totally
thing
agree.
at halftime. Look at this halftime score. Obviously, they put on the steam and they've got the talent to separate. But no, I think you're going to have 1 or 2 games a year when you just roll them out there. Maybe it's a noon game. Maybe it's a 5 o'clock kickoff with rain and you don't get to run through the tee. I think anybody, you can play your best. And I think I was wrong. The lights are going out over here, but yeah,
Are you at a haunted house at the beach?
That might be the wife flashing me, telling me to come back and come in from the beach. She's probably afraid I'm going to see some beach bunnies out here at the beaches in Florida, obviously. And I will say I've seen a bunch of Vol fans down here. I was out eating dinner earlier, a bunch of power tees everywhere. So I think we'll be well represented down here in Florida. Where I'm at.
Yes. Speaking of going to eat, what spot did you hit this time? There's been several. I want to hear exactly where you are.
We were at the Cracker Barrel. No, I don't. It was
that
well played.
Down at Mickey Mouse. We were at the Universal Studios grill or something. I don't know.
City Walk.
Florida. I know that's a real life.
Look at that, man. He is at Halloween Horror Nights tonight at University. At the Chucky Haunted House. I love it.
Go try to fix that. Hold on. I got to get away from the beach here. And lightning storm here at the beach.
Do not turn your camera off. Let's just see where this goes, Ball Bros.
So I'm gonna agree with Justin.
Issues.
I'm gonna agree with Justin. I'm gonna give y'all two examples. So I think it's human nature to look ahead. These are 18 to 22-year-old kids. They're not professionals. Yep. And it's no matter how much you try to tell them to focus, they're going to look ahead. Last year, Georgia was hands down the best team in America. They beat Kent State 39 to 22.
Yeah.
Last year.
Mizzou too.
Yep, barely got by
Missouri.
Missouri. A terrible
Should have
Missouri
lost.
team.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to 98.
Since
you want to talk about 99, let's go back to 98. Everybody seems to forget the national championship was almost lost in week 1.
Yep,
we beat Syracuse in 98, 34 to 33 in week 1 because we were all looking ahead to Florida in week 2.
It's true.
So I just think it's human nature. I don't think it has anything to do with being championship caliber. I think it's just 18 to 22-year-old kids.
Yep. So this now may be my favorite comment in the history of the Vol Bros. Zach has pumped Carl up too. He says, Zach's bringing the heat. I'm going to pawn my dog and put it on the Vols. I love it.
I would love to know what a dog gets at a pawn shop.
Yes, I would. That is very interesting, actually.
A future live stream, us going to the pawn shop, taking whatever, and just that's not a bad idea, guys. I like it.
Tyler said one of the better halftime interviews was when Alabama was only up 13-3 on Chattanooga a few years ago. He was like Saban was like Rustin earlier in the show.
well played. Oh, look, he's back.
For those of you who are new to our show, I am typically the very even one who is typically very fact-based and very calm. And last night I was spitting nails, and then today I tried to watch it again to try to find some redeeming quality, and it just made me angry all over again.
Michael said Michael Myers is standing behind Justin.
I was just getting ready to say that. We're going to see that mask pop up behind that so-called.
I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to call the maintenance man here at the resort and tell him to come fix the light because something is going on up there. I think my kids are probably jumping around. I don't know what's happening. They should be in bed. It's a school night. It's not I'm at a 3-star resort. We're going over the Disney properties tomorrow, so I won't have this much problem, I don't think.
TripAdvisor is the lifeblood of the agritourism industry. I think you need to give them a bad review on TripAdvisor.
If we can get an electrician to sponsor the show, that might be send them to my house.
Mr. Electric, I hope you're watching this tonight because we'd love to talk to you guys pronto for sure.
All right, so if you're listening, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, I strongly recommend you go back and watch the video version of it too, so you can see what's happening at Justin's house, or excuse me, on the beaches of Florida right now.
It makes it even better. It makes it even better that Justin's fiance is heckling him in the chat box.
Yes.
She's cold. She said
that's 1 star at best.
All right. Well, let me just throw this out there. This is the 1 star is not just the place you stay at. That's exactly what we're dealing with on every Friday night.
Carl said the mothership is coming. They're trying to beam him up.
Watch out for the probes, Sims.
Disco.
I don't have the studio space yet. We'll call the electrician. And I see you guys. Nice backdrops. I'm over here. You should see the mess I've covered up behind us there. It's I can't risk my children kicking in the door, so I got to hide in the garage to do the show. And now the lights flashing. So, oh Lord.
All right, so Neil, you make a great point. He said, anybody notice that Nick has scheduled South Florida? Yes, Bama plays South Florida this Saturday, which is a virtual scrimmage of our offense before we play them. Golish's bunch of beat the Rattlers. Fun to watch. So Yeah, I mean that I think there might be a phone call or two between Josh Heupel and Alex Golish over the next couple weeks after that game for sure. That's a great point. Let's see.
Maybe I put an epilepsy warning on this episode.
For sure.
Katusa said, "Is he renting that room by the hour?" Bester said, "This is hands down the best episode we've ever had."
And, just a quick plug here. This is exactly what you get with Off the Bench. If you ever listen to some of our live shows on X, this past Friday, nobody could hear the space because, Mr. Musk decided to cut the audio. I think Justin is paying too little on his verified status for that. So that's why we got the audio cut. But, yeah, this is nothing new for this guy for sure.
Yeah, I kind of like it. If it was October, it'd be better. But if you have epilepsy, maybe just listen to the audio version. When this is over, I'm going to get
a great point.
out.
That's a great point.
So Josh Mancuso wanted to do another episode where he was also our brother and we were triplets. I think we're going to use Justin's background for it.
Yeah. Can Josh come to your house, Justin? I'm sorry. Can Josh come to the beaches of Florida?
Absolutely. I'm obviously at the beaches, as you can tell. That's a lightning
digging the
storm,
strobe light.
Yes, digging the strobe. Well, if anybody knows about radio budgets, I think that goes to show our radios, our studio space right here. So please send a tip. Besides change the light bulb, Justin, for sure.
I've had 3 days to prepare for this, and this is the best I can do. I apologize. You may not have me come back on here, so. I promise next time I'm going to just sit in the car.
Justin and Jeff, why don't y'all tell people where they can find you one last time before we sign off here? Y'all tell people where they can find you.
Do they want to at this point? But yeah, we'll definitely plug it here.
Planet Zulu when the mothership sucks me up here, but I might be broadcasting from space.
Be careful with the strobe and the probe, Justin, because you're getting beamed up for sure. But anyway, no.
The latter, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, and Justin, we were talking about doing this on this format, man. We may have to definitely do that if your studio space is going to act up just like you do, just sporadically and, just little bits at a time there. So, but
I like the effect. I was about to do Somali and start dancing in here, but I guess stick to talking football.
Carl said 3 people in high definition, Justin in 8mm film.
Exactly. No, but before this totally goes off the rails again, thank you so much, guys, for having us on. Again, like you mentioned, it's Off the Bench. It's at Off the Bench CHA on X, and that's kind of the home for our live shows. Friday, whenever we have audio, we try to do one on Friday. Had some coaches come in. Luckily, we had some sound there, but. We do a wrap-up show on Friday nights around 11 o'clock, pretty much when we get back from the game we're covering for the Coca-Cola Red Zone on Talk 102.3. And, last week started our new venture on that radio station here in Chattanooga. Our Tuesday shows are going to be 7 to 8 on the Talk Monster here. You can listen on WGOW.com. There's an app as well, Apple Music, anywhere you can pretty much absorb it. 7 to 8, we have high school football coverage, and, there's a call and a text line there, so definitely throw your weapons at us, throw your hot takes at us, and we'll definitely get to you for sure. So definitely excited about that, adding that weapon to the arsenal that is Off the Bench, and just continuing to showcase these student athletes, whether they're going to Tennessee or Chattanooga. We definitely want to get the spotlight on those guys, and you can see my personal Twitter handle right here in the description at the Jeff Cade, and I'll let Justin kind of fill everybody in on how they can follow him and. See not just the content we're seeing here tonight, but also highlights like the Boo Carter punt return we saw on Friday night.
Yeah, that's at JL Simsey. We're looking for electrician sponsorship at Off the Bench, so I can get my studio up to snuff here. But it's been fun covering this stuff with Jeff. I think it's taken us probably a decade or more, but we kind of finally got the game day atmosphere, the video stuff kind of dialed in. So we usually pick up quite a few plays like we saw with that Boo Carter. We got a picture of kind of 3 potential Vols. It looks pretty cool with Terry you talked about and one of the Gorey brothers and Boo. So, audio, video, pictures, we have it for you. And it's just southeast Tennessee, northwest Georgia. We get a little bit over to the A word. I refuse to say that name, but the other state down there. And but yeah, we have a lot of fun doing it. I think it's worth a follow, and we have a good time, and we obviously need as much support as we can get. Can't afford a decent light bulb.
So you can follow them both at Off the Bench CHA in Chattanooga. We've had a couple more comments comes in. Zach said he's just doing dark mode video. Michael said,
there
it is. There it is. Perfect timing. Michael said $5. It's a rat eating a wire.
Probably. Yeah, my kid probably left a Twinkie under the couch, and this is the fallout from that, but it'll be all right.
And obviously, going back to Michael's comment there, we're looking for electricians and apparently pest control companies as well. So come on board, join the Vol Bros and Off the Bench at the same time.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, so Jeff actually has a gift in the mail from us right now. I've already ordered it. It's supposed to arrive, I think, like the 19th or something like that. I can't remember. Maybe the 24th, something like that. So, Justin, you have earned every bit of what I'm about to tell you, man. So Justin, just so you know, everybody who comes on our show as our guest, as a thank you to them, we give them a gift. Justin, you are now an honorary bro, and you have earned that title. We're gonna send you a shirt. Look,
it comes with it comes with a $10 Arrow Exterminator discount too,
and a 4-pack of light bulbs apparently too. So,
if anybody's got a ladder, I can borrow. I don't know. Break the ladder out.
So Jeff's shirt is actually already ordered. It's on his way to him, but because he joined us a couple weeks ago. But Justin, I'm so glad you were here tonight, and we're gonna send you a shirt, man. So when we sign off, you hang on a second and give us your shirt size, and we'll get it to you.
It is an honor to be a Vol Bro. I'm glad to be part of this thing as it goes to the moon here, and hopefully the house doesn't fall on top of me here. But I think it's just a light bulb. Probably my kids jumping around up there.
Well, we're glad y'all are with us. Seriously, both of you, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for providing the videos of that Walker Valley Bradley Central game so we can see Boo Carter make Walker Valley look like middle school team. Thank you very much for providing that. Seriously, if especially if you're in the Chattanooga area, but no matter where you are, Chattanooga, for some reason, we got some really a lot of talent right now in Chattanooga. 3 commits, actually 3.
4.
Yeah, 3 commit 4. I'm losing count.
Well, there's one coming. 3 we know of.
Okay, so 3 commits currently. Yeah, dang 6-star resorts. So 3 commits currently, and these guys are doing an awesome job covering them. So we strongly recommend them. Once again, you can find both of those fellas at Off the Bench Chattanooga. That's where you can find them for sure. So I hope everybody has a great evening. Remember, Tuesday night, this Tuesday, she's still supporting you, Justin.
The electrician, so she's going to be footing the bill for the electrician. So she's happy now, but wait till she gets that bill, then it'll be a whole nother.
And guys, real quick, I mean, if you go to the website and see, all the merchandise you guys offer on the website, I mean, a clear opportunity to add Vol Bro light bulbs to another bullet to the chamber. So I think we definitely need to collaborate on that. Maybe put Justin's face on it. Hey, a 4-pack of light bulbs with all of our faces on it. Orange 10, of course.
There you go. I'm loving it. That's a great idea. Just in time, you can order it just in time for Halloween. It shows up. There you go. That is fantastic. Well, we hope everybody has a great evening.
You got sidetracked. So Tuesday night we have Malik Foreman.
Yes. Yes.
Hopefully he has better technology and less issues.
No way. Hope it's less.
And then Thursday night we have Thomas Edwards, and then next Sunday we have Reed Carringer from Football Time in Tennessee. So huge week.
Yeah, it's a big week. Normally it's just Thursdays and Sundays, but We got a whole lot going on this week, so we're super excited about it. We do hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We've had a really fun time, as you can probably tell. We hope that all of you have had a fun time with us. But we thank you all so much for joining us. We hope everybody has a great evening, and we will see you Tuesday night with VFL Malik Foreman. Very excited about that. So, absolutely. Carl said, go Vols. Absolutely. Go Big Orange, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Go Vols. So we will see everybody very soon. Excuse me. I've laughed so much. I've lost my voice. Hope everybody has a great evening. Go Vols, baby.